So what about the big global picture? Can the United States confront all these wars and challenging relationships at the same time? Few comments have aged as badly.
And the Middle East region is quieter today than it has been in 2 decades.
Biden National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan and a catastrophic misread of the region just 8 days before the Hamas attack on Israel plunged the Middle East into war. Now, of course, it has the administration's full attention. But while the US and its allies are focused there, what does that mean for Ukraine, now worried about being left behind?
If Russia will kill all of us, they will attack NATO countries, and you will send your sons and daughters. And it will be, I'm sorry, but the price will be higher.
With aid for Kyiv locked up by skeptical Republicans in Congress, Democrats are pushing back.
We are at risk of failing, of handing Putin a victory right when he is on the verge of defeat.
With the prospect of Donald Trump becoming the Republican presidential nominee, who has openly laid down this gauntlet.
I remember the head of a country stood up and said, does that mean that if Russia attacks my country, you will not be there? That's right, that's what it means. I will not protect you.
Putin's nervous neighbors aren't banking on a white knight from the West to save them. Once bitten by a Soviet invasion, these Baltic states are twice shy. Leaders like Lithuania's former President Dalia Grybauskaite, dubbed the Steel Magnolia. She's been telling me what's happening in the world right now is creating a perfect storm for President Putin to exploit. Madam President, do you feel that Putin is potentially thinking he can take advantage of this? Recently you said Putin is a survival threat for Lithuania.
Yes, of course. It is a perfect storm for him, perfect situation. He's in the shadow, even could and will probably behave more aggressively, and that's what we expected and we will expect in future from him. And for him, yes, it is a very convenient situation.
What is Lithuania doing about it?
So we starting from the NATO level, from the preparatory plans, defense plans changing, and also going to the bottom of our people with civil preparations. It is part of our social and civil resilience. We're not only trying to fight the informational war, the lies around the war, but also we're trying to increase our own resilience because we have been living on the border. We know our unfriendful neighbor, and now we can say even enemy and rival. And we try not only to help ourselves to understand and to be prepared, but we're uniting our neighbors to explain and to prepare all of us together for this upcoming possible increase of threats and aggression from the Russia side.
I wonder what you make about the so far blocking of Ukraine aid from Congress, and also President Trump has suddenly come up again and said, back then when I was president, one of the heads of state asked me, would I defend them if Russia attacked? And he said, no, I told them I will not protect you if Russia attacks. Do you recall that time?
Yes, I recall that time, and I was in the meeting of NATO in Brussels at the first visit of President Trump's visit in Brussels, where the threat of withdrawing of US from NATO was very much hanging in the air. And mistakes, which I say mistakes, what now new leadership of Republican Party is doing, will turn very much and very fast against US itself.
Are you saying that NATO has still not stepped up enough?
Not at all. At all, not at all. That's a problem that we are talking a lot, we are discussing a lot, we are giving assistance drop by drop for Ukrainians not to sink and not to die, but we are not giving them enough to win. And it's not for Ukrainians to win, it's for us, all of us, to win against aggressor. These 2 years show that it's our mistakes, it's our weaknesses, why Ukraine is still in this kind of bloodshed and battle against this aggressive imperialism.
What would you say right now NATO should do differently?
NATO was supposed to do differently from the very beginning, and not to allow only Ukrainians to fight against this aggression. We still try to buy our consciousness with support for Ukraine, but that's a conceptual mistake. It is not supposed to be support for Ukraine to defend themselves. They're defending us, all of us, all democracies, all the West countries, all peace around the world and in Europe. And we are not involved ourselves in this. We're allowing Ukraine to do this instead of us. That's a conceptual mistake.
So, Madam President, are you calling for Lithuanian, American, British, French, German boots on the ground?
From the very beginning, even 2 years ago, I said that Russia could be and should be defeated on the field. Not by theories, not by discussions, not by plans, not by conferences, but on the ground, on the battlefield. And we're not doing this. We're only thinking that somebody else, Ukrainians, instead of us, will do it. Sooner or later, I'm sure, especially in this new geopolitical environment, where for Putin is a lot of windows of opportunity are appearing and opening, he will confront us. And we will be under pressure to react seriously, not as it is now.
Finally, you know the Americans have always said that they don't want to get into World War III with Putin, and yet you think that actually there needs to be NATO boots on the ground.
I think that we are involved already, and Putin and other aggressors are already dragged us in. We are seeing this on Ukrainian land, we're seeing this in Israel and Gaza. We're seeing behavior of Iran and other proxies. So we are falling into this global conflict, and we're not stopping it. We are not intervening in advance. We're just watching how we all falling into this problem.
Madam President, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
A stern warning indeed. And up next, accountability and international law. From the archive, 28 years after he was charged.